What is up? Today's convo is I know what you're gonna love because this community loves some cervical mucus talk, which you know I'm here for. So I'm so excited about it. We recently put together this like type form, this little, page that I could go back to and easily see where you could drop questions here and I could potentially answer them on the podcast. So if you want one of your questions answered on the pod, we'll put that link below. You just open it up, you put your name, you put how you found the podcast, and then you just write your question, and that's it. It takes 2 seconds. And that way I'll be able to do more of these chats together where I'm like literally answering your questions, which I love so much. I used to just put question boxes on Instagram, but then I would lose them, and then not everyone's on Instagram. So anyway, so we're doing this, so it's going to be so much easier to access all the questions. I'm also on the walking pad as not per usual, but like kind of per usual for recording the podcast. If you hear it, that's what's up. Okay, so let's dive into these. Are 2 questions. I just wanted to lump them together, which it's so ironic. They came like right after one another, different person. So I was like, okay, this is perfect. Oh, so this first question is from Monica. And she says, is it normal to have cervical mucus after ovulation? I had cervical mucus for a few days, so focus on sex around that time frame. And then my BBT has risen consecutively for 3+ days. Yes, she understands the assignment. That is how we confirm ovulation. If you're listening to this and you don't know how to confirm ovulation, we'll put an episode below teaching you how. But then today I had some cervical mucus again. Do I need to start having sex again? Okay, perfect. I love this question. So we have a few different episodes on the ideal cervical mucus pattern that you should be experiencing if your hormones are balanced out. So I will link that below too as I go into depth about it. But I'm going to give you 2 answers to this. So because I don't know exactly if it was just for that one day after. So ideally, right, you're going to want to see, like you said, a few days of that raw egg white consistency, slippery, stretchy, wet cervical mucus leading up to ovulation, right? You should be seeing that leading up to ovulation because that is letting you know that you're fertile. That is letting you know that you're approaching ovulation. And that is literally how you get pregnant. You can't get pregnant without cervical mucus. Okay. So you should be seeing that. Now it's totally okay if you see cervical mucus like even 2 days after ovulation. Sometimes like it's there a couple days after. That's totally fine. But like you said, you saw that your basal body temperature rose and then it was high for 3 days in a row. So if you're saying that again, you had some cervical mucus again, like that's probably 4 days later, you might have some excess estrogen happening. Now, to answer your question, do I need to start having sex again? No, because you're no longer fertile, right? You are only fertile the 5 days before you ovulate, right? The day you ovulate, the 5 days before you ovulate, including that day, right? And then the 1 day after ovulation, 24 hours after ovulation. That is it. So you're more fertile before you ovulate than you are after. So you're right now, based on your message, your temperature was 3 days high, and then the next day you had cervical mucus, now you're asking to have sex again 4 days after ovulation. You are not fertile anymore. Now, if you had not confirmed ovulation and you had cervical mucus and then your basal body temperature maybe went up for 1 day and then it went back down and then you had cervical mucus again, then I would say, okay, yes, continue having sex when you're seeing the cervical mucus if you are not sure if you ovulated or not yet. But you said that you fully confirmed ovulation. It stayed high. So ovulation is done, which means your fertile window is closed. You are only fertile 24 hours after ovulation, which is why we want to follow the cervical mucus and have sex ideally before you ovulate, because you have more chance of getting pregnant before you know that you actually ovulated than after. Because by the time you can actually confirm ovulation, which is you have to see that higher basal body temperature, that higher 0.3 to 0.5 degree increase in your basal body temperature for 3 days in a row, you're not fertile anymore after you confirm it. So that's why we have to follow the cervical mucus patterns to know when to actually have sex to get pregnant. Okay, so to answer your question, do you need to start having sex again? No. This is not part of your question, but I'm going to throw it in there because I have to. So if you are, or someone else is listening, and you have a lot of cervical mucus in your luteal phase, you likely have excess estrogen because estrogen is what produces cervical mucus, right? And this doesn't mean that you have high estrogen on a blood test, which first of all, why are you even taking a blood test? It's totally inaccurate. You got like a Dutch test if you want like true answers, but it just means higher estrogen in relation to where your progesterone levels are. And so I have another episode that we did recently on estrogen detoxification that we'll link below. So if that is you, definitely go listen to that. Okay. All right. So that is question number 1. Thank you, Monica. And then who asked this next one? What's their name? Okay. Lauren. So Lauren says, I wanted to ask a question about cervical mucus. I know that it is best tracking for timing sex to get pregnant, but sometimes I'll have cervical mucus in the morning and not in the evening that day. Does the timing need to be immediately when the cervical mucus is there when you wipe? Or is any time that day okay, even if it's drier later by night? I'll have it sporadically over a few days, so didn't know if it matters exactly when in those days I'm having sex. Okay, I love this question so much. I'm just picturing, like, as I'm reading this, I'm just picturing you, like, immediately when you see it, you're like, let's go, come on, it's there right now, it's not gonna be done later, like, stop what you're doing, it's time, which is so funny. Anyways, that's just, like, what I pictured. So the answer is no, it doesn't matter, right? Like, so you don't have to have a continuous stream of it throughout the day. Some people will experience it when like they are close to ovulation. They'll experience it every single time they pee, every time they wipe before they pee. It's there, right? It's there every single time. Some people like you are going to see it in the morning and not at night, which actually is common, that you likely are going to see more in the morning than you are at night because you're wiping more during the day. Maybe like you're drinking more water during the day. I'm sorry. Yeah, you're wiping more throughout the day. So maybe not much is there towards nighttime. You're drinking more water during the day, which is going to help cervical mucus production. So like this, and obviously hormonal fluctuations and things like that contribute to it, of course. But just because, like, say you see it in the morning, just because you don't see it that night doesn't mean that it totally disappeared, right? It's still up in there. And likely what you're saying is that you'll see it in the morning and then not that night. And the next day, maybe you'll see it again in the morning, in the afternoon, but not at night. So like, that's completely fine. I just want you to focus on having sex the days that you see the raw egg white consistency cervical mucus. If you happen to be able to get after it in the middle of the afternoon, go for it. But don't feel like you're not fertile that night just because it's drier than it was in the morning. So again, when you're seeing the cervical mucus, it's still up in there, right? Like it didn't just like completely dry up and completely go away. There might not be as much flowing out. Obviously, like when you're seeing it again, if you can, that's great, but you can absolutely still have sex at night, have that cervical mucus in the morning, and you're good. Okay, so what we really want to focus on though is that we are writing down the days that you are experiencing cervical mucus, so you know about how many days you have it before you actually ovulate. And again, like I said in the question with Monica, you're not going to actually know when you confirm ovulation until you're not even fertile anymore, right? But once you learn your pattern, once you see, oh, my temperature rose up, it stayed higher for 3 consecutive days, you usually ovulate around this time. And again, not everybody ovulates around day 14. I personally ovulate later in my cycle. I have a 35-day cycle. So I ovulate on day 21. I always have, except for the month, literally like the only month this happened. It's so crazy. The month that I got pregnant with Madison, I ovulated a week earlier. It was so weird, but I was like, I'm having cervical mucus. It's so bizarre. Like, let's just go for it. And a good thing I did because we got pregnant and that's when I ovulated. It was so weird. So it can shift, but you will likely have a specific pattern if your hormones are balanced out, which if they're not, if you're listening to this and you're like, things are totally irregular, you don't have cervical mucus present, maybe you do, but you're still not actually confirming ovulation, like you've been trying for a while, but things are off, like obviously that's where the mind your hormones method comes in. I'll say it every single episode because it's literally your step-by-step plan of exactly what to do in your diet, your lifestyle, supplementation to get down to the root cause of the problem. I'll always put that link in the show notes. I've helped hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of women, possibly you listening to this right now, just because you listen to the most of my clients listen to the podcast and I love it so much. Anyway, I'll put that in the show notes. Code podcast always saves you 10%. But to go back to your question, yes. And if you can absolutely still have sex that night, even if you don't see it at night, but you saw it during that day. So what I want you to do is just really make sure you're writing down how many days and what days you are having that raw egg white consistency cervical mucus, stretchy, slippery, wet. Some of my clients will experience it as wet more so than like stretchy. And know about how many days that's going to be. Is it 3 days out from ovulation? Is it more than that? Like, so you know when to have sex at the right time so you can get pregnant. Okay. Those are my cervical mucus questions for today. Oh my God. I just looked at the time. It's at 11:11. Of course, you already know. I love a little sign like that. Short and sweet episode. I'm here for it. Thank you as always for being here. If you want one of your questions answered on the show, fill out that form. We'll put it in the show notes. And we'll also link below the episode that will go through your ideal cervical mucus pattern. If you haven't yet listened to that, definitely listen to that one. We'll also link the one on estrogen detoxification if you do have excess cervical mucus in your luteal phase and you're experiencing maybe some excess estrogen symptoms that could also look like cramps, PMS, sore boobs, things like that. We'll put that episode in the show notes. And then there was another one. No, maybe that was it. We'll put those two. And if there was another one I mentioned I forgot, we'll put it in there. But thank you as always for being here. I love these little quick chats, answering your specific question. You're the best. I appreciate you, and I will talk to you soon. Thank you so much for being here. If you loved this episode and learned something valuable, please share it with a friend who you think would also love it, or post it on social media and tag me so I could personally say thank you for helping me spread this important message. I am beyond grateful to be here with you. So until next time, stay intentional, stay consistent, and always mind your hormones.